moved, to wait, to look. One of those secrets reaches up.
Off the coast of Indonesia, in water so deep that sunlight has never touched the bottom, a commercial diving team picked up something on sonar. It wasn't a whale, it wasn't a submarine, it was shaped like a hand. And here's the part that's going to stick with you. When they sent a camera drone down to confirm the reading, the footage lasted exactly 19 seconds. Then the drone went dark, and the cable started pulling back up on its own. Something pulled it. Nobody talks about what they saw in that footage, not publicly anyway. But we found the people who were there, and what they described changed the way you look at the ocean forever. Here's what most people don't realize. The hand sea monster wasn't discovered last year. It wasn't discovered last decade. The first documented encounter goes back to 1953. A U.S. Navy deep-sea survey vessel, the USS Observation Island, was conducting routine sonar sweeps in the Western Pacific. Standard mission, standard crew, nothing unusual. Until the sonar operator noticed something that made him call his superior into the room. The readout showed a biological mass the size of a school bus, moving at a depth of 4,200 meters. That's nearly 2.5 miles straight down. But here's what didn't fit any known species. The mass had structure, defined repeating structure, like fingers. The report was filed, then classified. And it stayed classified for 43 years. When it was finally declassified in 1996, buried inside a routine document release, nobody paid attention to. A marine biology researcher at the University of Washington spotted it. Her name was Dr. Elaine Marsh. And what she found in those Navy files sent her on a 7-year investigation that the mainstream scientific community still refuses to acknowledge. She wasn't looking for a monster. She was just following the data. And the data pointed somewhere deeply uncomfortable. So let's get into the science, because this is where it gets genuinely disturbing. The ocean covers 71% of this planet. We have mapped less than 25% of the ocean floor. Less than 25%. To put that in perspective, we have better maps of the surface of Mars than we do of our own ocean floor. That means right now, tonight, something could be living 3 miles beneath where you're sitting. We would have absolutely no idea. Now, back to the hand sea monster. When Dr. Marsh compiled every documented encounter, the Navy records, the fishing crew testimonies, the dive footage, she identified 3 patterns. Every single witness described the hand as massive. It's not slightly large, massive. The smallest estimate across all accounts was 15 feet from wrist to fingertip. To give you a reference, the tallest basketball player in NBA history was 7'8". 15 feet is still nearly double that. Just the hand. The creature never attacked first, never charged. Every account describes it rising slowly, almost deliberately, to the surface level and then observing. Sometimes for minutes. Like it was studying whatever it encountered. That's not predator behavior, it's something far more unsettling. That's intelligence. Without exception, every single encounter ended the same way. The hand simply withdrew. Back into the dark, without a sound, without a ripple. Whatever this thing is, it knows exactly what it's doing. Scientists, the ones willing to speak about this off the record, land in 3 camps. This is the idea that completely unrelated creatures, living in similar environments, can independently evolve similar physical features. The eye evolved independently at least 40 separate times across different species. Wings evolved in 4 completely separate lineages. Could the hand, the 5-fingered grasping hand, have evolved again? Independently? In the deep ocean? Dr. Marsh thinks yes, argues that the grasping hand is such an efficient tool for navigating complex environments, like the jagged terrain of the deep ocean floor, that natural selection could absolutely push a large marine creature toward developing one. It sounds wild. Until you remember the mantis shrimp, a creature that sees 16 types of color, while humans see 3. Or the pistol shrimp, which generates a cavitation bubble so powerful it briefly reaches the temperature of the sun. The ocean doesn't play by our rules. In 1938, and this is documented fact, a fish called the coelacanth was pulled up off the coast of South Africa. Scientists had believed it went extinct 65 million years ago. It was alive, thriving, completely unchanged. If a prehistoric fish can survive undetected in the ocean for 65 million years, what else is down there? Some paleontologists have pointed to a group of ancient marine reptiles called plesiosaurs, long-necked. Large-limbed creatures that dominated Cretaceous seas. We assumed they died with the dinosaurs. But we assumed the same thing about the coelacanth. A deep-ocean plesiosaur adapted to crushing pressure and perpetual darkness would check every box. Large limbs, deliberate movement, intelligence. And this is the one that keeps deep-sea researchers quietly unsettled. What if the hand sea monster doesn't fit any existing classification? What if it evolved in total isolation, in the deepest, darkest, most pressurized environment on Earth, into something our entire framework of biology simply isn't built to categorize? We've only directly explored about 0.05% of the deep ocean. It's not a typo, 0.05%. The rules we think we understand about life on this planet, we made those rules from the 0.05% we've seen. Of all the documented encounters, one stands completely apart. In August of 2019, a deep-sea research team operated by a private marine technology company was conducting trials on a new generation of pressure-resistant camera drones to 400 miles southwest of Guam, the kind of location where help is hours away, where the ocean beneath you is deeper than Everest is tall. At 2:41 in the morning, their lead drone diving toward a thermal vent at 5,800 meters stopped transmitting. Signal failure, not pressure breach. Something intercepted it. When they tried to retrieve the cable, it had resistance. Something was holding the other end. Then, and the crew chief described this in a signed affidavit that we have reviewed, the cable began moving upward. Not being winched up, moving up. On its own. When the drone broke the surface 12 minutes later, the camera housing was intact. The lens was intact. But the footage card, a sealed titanium unit rated to withstand 6 tons of pressure, had been physically removed, not corrupted, removed. The crew filed an incident report with the company. The company filed it with their maritime insurance carrier. The insurance carrier forwarded it to NOAA. NOAA has not commented. Here's the part of this story that matters most. In 2021, the United States Congress passed the UAP Disclosure Act, requiring military agencies to release information on unidentified aerial phenomena. What most people missed. Buried inside that same legislation was a clause. Section 1683, requiring agencies to also disclose unidentified submersible phenomena, USPs, unidentified objects in the ocean. The military has a classification for things in the ocean it cannot identify. They've had it since at least the 1950s. Now, why would they need that classification? For submarines of foreign nations? Maybe. Or maybe for things they encountered in the deep water that they couldn't explain and weren't ready to explain to the American public. The ocean is not empty. We know this. We've always known this. The question is, how not empty is it? How long have the things living in it been watching us every time we set foot in the water? We build satellites that can read a license plate from space. We've landed rovers on Mars. We've photographed black holes for billion light years away. But we cannot tell you with certainty what is living in the water that covers most of this planet. The hand sea monster might be legend. It might be misidentified marine life. Or it might be something ancient and vast and patient that has shared this world with us since before we had a word for the ocean. Something that surfaces just long enough to look and then goes back down to wait. The deep keeps its secrets well, but every now and then, one of those secrets reaches up. If this story made you look at the ocean differently, you already know what to do. Hit subscribe. Stick around, because at the silent depth, we go where the answers hide.